I had a abusive stepdad who was abusive to my mother, and just kind of that when when your mother's being abused, it pours over onto you. And I had a lot of anger inside, so I wrote about that. And
Is that what inspired you to be a boxer, you think?
I think that, well, I've always been a fighter. I've noticed that from a very young age, and starting just with my stepdad. When he was doing certain things that I didn't like, I kind of stood up to him. Even my mom wouldn't. She'd be sitting there crying, and I was like, "You're not gonna do this, and you're not gonna do
Oh my
that."
God, I just got the
And I
chills. How
know.
old were you?
At that time, I probably was about 10.
Whoa.
And I had no fear of him, and I remember watching my mom and my sister sitting there crying, and I was the only one standing up to him. And that's also the time in which I lost respect for my mom. Like, you're just gonna let
Mm.
this man do this to you? You're gonna let him do it to us?
Mm-hmm.
And it just was crazy. It was a crazy period of my life. And now being a mom, looking back, it's even crazier.
Do you get emotional about it?
Oh yeah, of
Are
course.
your
Yeah,
eyes
a
look
little bit.
red?
Yeah, I get
That's
emotional. Oh,
I'm
they
like,
do
am I
way from
seeing?
over there.
Yeah, no, because mine are,
Oh
and then I'm
yeah.
seeing it in yours,
Yeah.
and I'm like, is it my reflection? Am I
No,
crazy?
probably not. I do get emotional about it, not to the point where I'm gonna cry, but like I said, when I start talking about my kids, so when you think about just what I went through with my mother, and I'm just like, man, I can imagine my kids going through that. And of course I've forgiven her and we're good friends now, but I had to work that out. I had to
Yeah.
work it out, and I think I worked it out a lot in the ring. On people, and they had no idea what they were getting in there. They had no idea. It's just like, they think you just grew up with this silver spoon in your mouth. Oh, she's a pretty girl. She's Muhammad Ali. You have no idea what kind of ass whooping you're about to get, because I'm about to take all this anger out on you, all my suffering out on you.
Oh my God. I know,
So,
right?
and it's funny, I can talk about it that way now, but of course, when I was fighting, I never really let people know where my inspiration was coming from, where I need to draw that energy from.
There
So.
was just that kind of inner rage in a sense that they just didn't know even
Yeah,
existed.
exactly, but you learn how to take it and turn it into something positive, and I'm able to do that now, and other things that I do. You don't have to be angry. I think that you just have to own your story, but at the same time, not let it define you and who
Mm-hmm.
you are and your future. And it's not anything I'm embarrassed about. I can talk about it. I think also, once you reach a certain level of success, you're like, man, look how the grass is greener on the other side now,
Yeah.
right? So it's all good.
I know it's funny when I think back. One of the first interviews I did when I kind of was starting out in the business was, I think, with 17 magazine, and they were asking me about my childhood and whatever. I was like, oh, we were janitors. We used to clean nightclubs all over Boston and blah, blah, blah. And people were like, you're telling people that? And I'm like, well, yeah, it's my story. Like, why wouldn't I? I'm proud of
Hmm.
the fact that we did all of that, and I learned, the value of hard work and all of that. And it was kind of shocking to people back then. And now it's like, it's so funny because I feel like people are much more open than maybe they used to be.
Yeah, I mean, people have always felt like you have to hide certain things about you because they're worried about people judging them.
Mm-hmm.
But now I think with social media and just people are so much more honest and willing to talk about certain things
Yeah.
and be real.
Well, I think we all know we're being judged regardless now.
Exactly, exactly. Who gives a
Do I
what?
like your photo? Do I not like your photo?
Right,
It's constant
always,
judging.
always, and it's like but it's like who cares? Just do you. Because
Yeah.
if you just imagine not paying attention to any of that, like looking at your likes, looking at your comments, any of that, and just how wonderful life would be, and not having to worry about it. Just do what you do.
I
So as
know.
long as you're a good person.
How did you get to the place where you were able to forgive your mom?
I think, let's see, when I moved out the house, when I was 18, I moved out the house, and I kind of, she divorced her husband, her then husband. I moved out the house, and then I was able to kind of be away from her. I was able to forgive her for what she had done, and then just kind of beginning to, I think, understand that she's my mom, but she's also a woman living her
Mm-hmm.
own life, and she had to make decisions on her own. And but I still am a little hard on her about certain. I don't have patience with her. So when I start seeing things in her that remind me of how she used to be, it's like I'll shut her down real quick. Like if she
Mm-hmm.
ever tries to give me any advice about my kids, and my mom's a psychologist, if she
Uh-huh.
tries to give me any advice about my kids, I just look at her like, really, mom? Like let's just not go there. How about that?
Oh my God, that's so funny. Yeah, I think it's interesting because I am starting to kind of realize that certain things that bothered me and with my mom, and I'm starting to realize, oh, that's why I was annoyed, or
Mhm.
like I get it now.
Mhm.
Like, you some at some point you wake up and you realize, well, that wasn't right,
Right.
or
Yeah. Especially for me, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but
No.
especially like I said, as a parent now, I look at things and I'm just like, oh my God, I was just like in the street, gone. My mom didn't know where I was a lot of the time. I was like, how did she? I could never imagine my kids just not being home, right,
Yeah.
being 11 or 12, and me just not knowing where they are, and I'm just calling you, telling you anything. It's just crazy. So, but I mean, two different moms, two different situations. She was a straight A student. She was kind of what you would consider to be a little nerdy. She
Mhm.
never did anything to get in trouble. She did what she was told. So from her perspective, from her point of view, she didn't know what she had to do, right? With with a child like me, where I was a little more rebellious,
Mhm.
kind of doing my own thing for which reasons I had a lot of anger. But now with my child, I'm like, don't ever try that because your mama did it all. So it's just two
Yeah.
different ways of that we were raised, and so you have to give people that leeway. Like, okay,
Yeah.
so I understand, but